Young Justice, issue 14, by Michael Bendis and David F. Walker writing, with art by Michael Avon Oeming and John Timms, which is mostly split up in a way that makes sense, with the stuff in Scataris having the Oeming art, with the exception of 2 pages towards the start that are randomly also him, even though it's not the Scataris stuff. Which
No, but I do like that when the regular Earth pokes through to Scataris, it's the Tim's art on the combined with the Oeming art.
Yeah,
right?
but there's a couple of pages at the start though that's none of that. It's just randomly him instead of Tim's for no reason.
Right. No, I know. I'm just saying I like what they did here with that balance where, where the Star Labs lady or the doctor is talking to them, but it's Tim's art over the Oeming art, which I think is real cool. It's a fun little thing.
Yeah, the first few pages are basically Impulse collecting the new characters from last issue, Sideways, Arrowette, spoiler, and of course Aqualad. So we get a few pages sort of collecting them, and this is really good stuff. This is the sort of stuff where it's a nice refresher for us. It's a nice page if you're just reading Young Justice, you've not really encountered most of these characters, and I think with some of them you might not have. I mean, I've barely seen any of Arrowette, like barely.
Yeah.
Sideways has obviously only had the one series, so I mean we know who he is because we've been reading stuff consistently for a few years. But that's another one that could use the and even Aqualad's kind of a newer invention. This version of Aqualad.
We got a lot of him in Teen Titans when we were reading that, like him and Damien's relationship. So it was fun to see.
Good job of introducing them here for people.
I think so. Yeah.
My favorite one though is when Impulse shows up to Arrowette and she's like, I'm retired, because it says Suzanne Sissy King Jones, one of the greatest archers alive. She's Arrowette. She goes, what the what? And then the blurb goes, retired. And she's like serving at a restaurant. So I thought that was just a fun little thing. Who, again, I don't think I made it in Young Justice up to where she shows up.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not that familiar with her. Yeah, she came. Well, no, she debuted in Impulse 28. So that's a fun piece.
There you go. Which is nice. It's one of those things where she might be technically older than Stephanie Brown, but I feel like Stephanie Brown's actually the most prolific out of the four, just because she's had a bit more sort of higher caliber, like page appearances, I guess, in the last decade or so. Anyway, collects these 4 characters. We have the rest of the Young Justice sort of showing up at the place in New Mexico where they think the secret lab is, and there's a lot of logos underneath their faces to explain, to sort of give them all names, which was a nice touch. And then Bart shows up with the newbies, and it's like, hey, it's time to go. And then this is when the evil Star Labs doctor has a bunch of monsters shot at portals. So basically, the plan is they've got Sideways because they want Sideways to take them to this other, this other dimension.
Scataris.
To Scataris, yeah. And they need him for that. Bart goes in, does some super speed stuff to find out where they need to go. They all go off and get Connor. They get Connor, who's in a pretty bad place because the bad guy who's there in Scataris has got a kryptonite sword, and that's what we see during those pages.
Yeah, because he was given kryptonite from the doctor at Star Labs.
Yeah.
And so he's not doing so well.
Do you know, it's funny that saying all this stuff out loud like this sounds quite messy, but I actually want to make it very clear here that the issue actually does a great job of juggling all 55 characters that it's dealing with.
It flows really well. And also, I gotta say, my favorite part is where Zan and Jada jump in. Jada turns into, they do the Wonder Twins, form of whatever we're fighting, so she turns into one of the monsters. And Zan turns into form of a hurricane of hard water to power up my new friend, who then Aqualad uses Zan as a weapon to fight them. And I'm like, all right, Bendis, you guys are doing great. Like whoever idea that was, Bendis gets too busy and hands it off to David Walker. I'm fine with that.
I mean the book ends with Dr. Glory tries to skedaddle because she's in the control room, kind of like watching all this and trying to hope that they get beat. And she tries to skedaddle and does that thing where half the team are standing behind her, and it's like, oh shit. But she offers them something so they won't just lock her up. She says, hey, I can tell you what really happened to young Justice and why none of you remember it. So presumably we're going to get some Bendis kind of like sort of explaining the continuity a little bit next issue, which should be fun.
You know what I realized just now too is that this is what we wanted for Wally, right?
Mm-hmm.
When Wally showed up, how come nobody remembers him? How is it different? And they always just skip past it. But here, Bendis is like, no, first I'm going to tell the multiverse story, and then I'll get to why nobody remembers Young Justice. And I've been happy with this entire ride. Another piece I wanted to bring up is when they get into the Star Labs, Impulse goes forward,
mm-hmm.
and you see him. It's a really fun layout of and it makes a spiral of him going through Star Labs to find out where exactly Connor is, so then he could go sideways in Wonder Girl.
And to be specific, what he actually does when he finds Dr. Glory is he speeds in and uses her laptop in super speed when she's like just turned away for a second and then speeds back out. Yeah, it's good stuff.
A lot of fun that layout was. And then you get Cassie attacking Warlord, thinking that he has something to do with hurting Connor, which I like that thing. And then Warlord, after they leave, him wondering if he hoped he helped that kid.
Yeah, and then he has a little joke line here where he says, I forgot to ask him how the Shield ended, which was a nice little thing, because I love that show. And it maybe gives you an idea as well as how long he's been in here, because that show ended, I want to say, about 2010, maybe even a little bit before that. Something like that. So, that's pretty nifty.
Well, that was good, but so, a lot of fun Young Justice stuff. I'm surprised it's taking you this long for Steph camping on Drake's outfit.
Oh yes, she says. Well, I think it was kind of nullified a little bit for me because like it was a previous page where Steph says this plan's dumb, and then she says unless it was Robin's, and I'm like, no, don't have her grovel to Robin. How dare you? Stephanie Brown is more important than Tim Drake, and I will stand by this repeatedly.
I won't go that far. I will give them equal importance because I love them both. I don't like when they characterize her as a love-struck teen.
Yeah,
because she's more than that.
On sheer importance, Tim Drake. In terms of your preferred favorite, that's up to you. But you cannot say she is more important than Tim Drake.
Hey, Tim Drake basically got wiped out from continuity, and it didn't affect anything. It's fine.
Yeah, so did Stephanie Brown for forever.
Yeah. Do you really want to go there?
Come on.
No, but what I mean is we still got Damien afterwards. It's like, they didn't even know what to call him. It's like, I guess he's still Red Robin. Oh, what do we do with him? Stephanie! People were crying out for Stephanie.
I'm sorry,
they
Tim
were
Drake
crying
is the
out
first
for
one
her.
to have a solo Robin book.
Yeah.
That ran for God knows how many issues.
Which makes, and he is de facto the best Robin. Like, because he was defined, like, I don't ever say that Dick or Jason, I mean Jason a little bit because he died as Robin, but like when I think of Dick Grayson, I think Nightwing. I don't think Robin, so yeah, come on, Pete, we get it, but still.
Well, you can prefer Stephanie Brown. I'm not telling you not to do that, but to say she's more important than Tim Drake is just a lie.
More important than Tim Drake. She's more important.
Also, that said, I've always hated her spoiler costume. I don't like the hood mask thing where you see her eyes that are also very expressive. Like, it's like, is it just super dark under there? Is it a mask? Like,
I mean,
what's going on?
I did like the rest of her dialogue, though. As much as I'm groaning that she was like, oh, this is Robin's idea, in which case I support it. I like the rest of her dialogue, though. I all felt really on point. Felt like Steph.
But her calling him out for the uniform, that's a no.
Yeah.
Like, what are you
she's
doing?
not even heard the name yet. She's not heard that he's calling himself Drake.
Right.
Oh, I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah.
Actually, this is enough time after the reveal of that outfit that I almost feel like this was Bendis being cheeky because because by the time he wrote this issue, the reaction to the costume was out.
Oh, I'm almost certain this is only because of that reaction.
Yeah. So maybe it'll change. Maybe that'll change now because Steph doesn't like it, and that'll convince Tim to come up with something better. In kayfabe, as it were. when the real reason is just we all hate it, so he has to change it.
Because it's terrible. Let's be honest.
Yeah. No, I had a bunch of fun. I think Young Justice is a book that has always had to juggle a lot of characters, and sometimes it's just faltered a little bit under that weight. But this issue did it massively, even though it added on like 4 new characters on top of the 40 that it already had. I'm exaggerating a bit, but there's a lot of characters. Matt, what are you giving the book?
I'm giving this an 8.5. I really enjoyed it. Like you said, it seems like it should have been chaos. There's too many people. That said, Bendis wrote X-Men for forever, so he kind of knows how to juggle characters. Plus, he did Avengers, so shouldn't be surprised that it's not a mess. But and then even the Oming art, who I'm not a huge fan of, I thought here it really came outside of the first couple. Like, why do we have Oming drawing sideways on North Gotham? Like,
yeah, well, I think it was the spoiler pages. Which the funny thing is I actually think Spoiler herself looked good in his art. The cartooniness of it actually helped the design of the costume. I thought, and but
so
yeah,
8.5.
Yeah, so yeah, they are kind of being oddly divvied between them when it was otherwise, fairly set. Like, on this planet it's this art, on the regular Earth it's this art. But aside from that weird bit of confusion rather, I like this show a lot too. So I am going to agree with the 8.5.